All right. Welcome back to another Tarot Tuesday here with the Lazy Genius Tarot and Bazaar. My name is Alex, and if you are new here, thank you for dropping in. Today, I am actually going over some decks that I received, and I had done unboxing videos for them, but they didn't work out for one reason or another. The first of those unboxing videos that I did that didn't work out was a single deck that I got in. It was the Jean Dodal. I received this from the Flournoy family in France, which was pretty cool. Thank you to Justin over at Justin Michael Tarot for the link for that. Let's see here. So when I first got this deck, it was actually missing this card here. And I noticed it when I did the unboxing video, but I was already recording and I didn't want to stop. And when I was going through the original walkthrough there, I kind of went and this card wasn't here, so it went from here straight in to the Empress, right? And we were missing the High Priestess, or the Papess, or in this case the Princess. But it tripped me up in the walkthrough because I went from 1 to 3 and I didn't really want to stop recording, so I just went the whole way through, and I thought maybe I was seeing things, so I went through the whole deck and I couldn't find the card, and then I went back and I watched the video because I unboxed it on camera, right? So I took it out of the packaging on camera, noticed that on video, yes, I was missing the second card. I contacted them. They sent the card right out. I actually got it maybe 2 weeks later. So here is the deck. I'm just gonna show you a couple of the cards. I am planning on doing a full walkthrough of this deck coming up here soon, so look out for that. I did notice a lot of the cards here in this particular Dodal deck are stamped. It says F.P.LE.trance. Here's that stamp again on the world. Again, on all of the pages or chevaliers in this deck. This is the only page in the deck that's not actually labeled, or yeah, page. The knights are the chevaliers. But this is the only page in the deck that's not actually titled as a page. In this deck, they are valets. But it just has that weird stamp right there on the side, and it's not labeled as a valet or anything. It's the only one in the deck. Normal pips for a Marseille. I like the way that they're put together, though. I like the aces. I like the Ace of Cups here. Again, the stamp on all of the knights. Like I said, I am going to do a full walkthrough of the deck at some point here soon. Just quick flip throughs of all the ones that I got in. And then literally like 3 days later, I got a deck mini haul shipment, I guess you would call it, because there was 5 decks all in one box. And on the same day, I actually also received a deck that I purchased from our very own Justin Michael over at Justin Michael Tarot, and it is the Tarot de Marseille by Pablo Robledo. And this deck is very nicely done. It is in a 2-part box, and the deck itself is actually wrapped in, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's like this pearlescent like quality to the paper. I don't know if it's a coating or a printing, but it looks like it's like that even where it's not printed, so I think it's just like a pearlescent paper. It's super nice. I like that. But I like the way that it's got the paper on there and it's folded nicely around the deck. Don't want to mess that up. And then here are the card backs. Oh, and just because I know I forgot to show you the card backs on the Dodal, there's that. Sorry for that. But here's the card backs on the Marseille. It has the title card there. This one I haven't really touched much. I put it back in the same order after I did the quick walkthrough when I did the unboxing, and then I haven't really touched it since. When I get to working with Marseille more, I will definitely be giving this one a go through. I like this one. It's got like a vintage quality to the cards, even though they're rounded corners instead of the squared corners. You can tell it's more of a playing card stock style card stock than the paper card stock that is some of the more handmade or Marseille style decks that come with that sort of thicker, stiffer card stock. This one actually has the Fool in the front rather than placing the Fool at the back of the majors. Just go through a couple of the cards here. It's a very interesting devil card there. Not only does it have the eye and the belly, but it's got eyes in the knees, and both the folks down here that he's got in bondage have an eye in one of their knees as well. Other stuff. The pips are pretty standard. The chords pretty standard as well. It's the Ace of Cups. Look, I like the Ace of Cups. Okay, I like that. Okay. Again, I am going to do a full walkthrough of all of these decks, and then I'll be just putting them out on the walkthrough Wednesdays there. Wrap this guy back up in the paper real quick. There we go. All right. And then next we have the 5 decks that I received in a single box. It was going to be like a mini haul unboxing, and we will go ahead and start those decks with this one right here. This is the Prisma Visions Tarot. I like this box actually a lot. It's like a clamshell box, and the way that it fits when you close it, there's no need for a magnet. It actually has a very good closure on there too. Let's see here. I will read what's on the box and all that good stuff when I do the walkthrough. It does have a pretty good sized little book in here though. I don't see any actual images. No, I lied. There's an image there marking the beginning of the minors. One there. There's small images at the top of the card, or the top of the pages there, but no like card images or anything. But there's a description of all of the cards in there. And then I do believe that this is still in order. Yeah. All right. So this is going to be the 3rd edition with the silver gilding on the sides there. It's actually a really smooth gilding too. It doesn't seem to clump up too much when I'm playing with it here. Seems pretty smooth. It's got the extra illumination card. The Cardstock is pretty good. It's pretty thick. It's glossy, which makes for a card that is like sort of slidey, but in the right environment they would stick a little bit. I could see that being an issue if you've got a little bit of humidity where you're at. I'm in the desert, so it's a little drier here where I'm at. Cards are pretty nice though. I like the art of them. I like that chariot card. I don't know if you guys can see that. There you go. The Hanged Man. It's a pretty interesting Hanged Man. Wait. Is there no actual people in this deck? I mean, there's a silhouette for the Magician, the Empress, but there's no face. There's not a very heavy human influence in this deck in the imagery. At least in the majors, there's like the silhouette of a person here in the star. I kind of like that though. All right. And then I do know that each of the minors, if you lay out like all the wands in a row, they kind of develop into a scene and they kind of carry through, like if you laid them all out, ace through king, right? You could see a storyline pieced together with them, like the cards sort of fit together like that. I don't know if you can see that. And I'll go over all that stuff when I do the walkthrough. It's a pretty cool deck though. I like the Ace of Chalices right there, or the Ace of Cups. Okay, so now we see some more people when we get into the minors here. I like the way that this is put together though. Yeah, you definitely see more people in the minors, I think, than you do the majors. You don't really see too many people in the wands. Got them in the cups though. Okay. Got some people in the swords. I like that Eight of Swords. Okay. Some more people. Alright, so there's people in the minors. There's not too many people in the majors. I like the way that the deck is laid out overall, though. The artwork is pretty cool. This will be a fun walkthrough to do. And then next out of that box, because I got the rest of the decks from that deck out for the rest of the video all in the same box. The next one that we'll go through is the Tarot of the Holy Light. This is a really cool deck, and it runs, or works rather, on the Continental Esoteric Tarot system. And I think once I really get a chance to dig my teeth into it, because first I'm going to tackle RWS, Marseille, and Thoth, and I'm going to attempt to do them at the exact same time. You'll see sort of the progression of that in the tarot series that I'm working on, getting the details worked out for. But I really like this deck. The artwork is super cool. And again, it operates on that Continental Esoteric system. Here's some of the minors. So some of them are sort of laid out like pips, and others are just sort of illustrated. Others are sort of illustrated pips, and there is sort of this sense of symbology all the way through. If you notice, it's got the card name at the bottom. So here for the Eight of Wands, it says the Eight of Wands. And then here it says 21 to 30 degrees. and then it's got the what appears to be sign and the planet that it is ruled by, that the card is associated to. So it's got the degree placement that this card would be associated with, as well as the astrological ruling, and which planet that sign would be ruled by. And then here at the Ten of Wands, it actually changes a little bit, and you just have a few symbols and then the elemental association to the card here. But you do sort of see that fire element dispersed. Here it is around the top of there, all throughout the card. Here you have the sun and the fire rays coming down here. The sun itself. So there's some sort of a sun or a fire reference in a lot of the wands cards there. It seems to be a heavy water influence in all of the cups, which this is going to be a system, I believe, that dives into the astrological, the elemental, and I think it, if I'm not mistaken, if I got this correctly from the walkthroughs of this deck that I've seen from, you know, older pages that did walkthroughs of this deck years and years ago when it came out, like 4 years ago, I believe. If I have the breakdown of this correct, this is basically the system of tarot that is like the most historically traditional. Like, this is the way that tarot cards, or the system that tarot cards originally read with, or close to the original system that tarot cards were read with, wherein, as you can see as you go through everything, the only card without all of the associations attached to it are going to be the majors. But even then, each one of them has either like a astrological or a planetary association to it as you work your way through. And the book is actually surprisingly thick. Here's the card backs of these. The book is actually surprisingly thick. I have it on the shelf right here. So it's a decent thickness. It's actually not much thinner than the deck itself. If at all, I think it's actually thicker than the deck itself. It is a pretty decent size there. Like, there's my hand. I'm 5'10", if that matters, but it's pretty much the size of my hand. It's a decent sized book. This is one of two. As you can see here, it's got all kinds of charts in the back and pictures of all of the cards, or, you know, there's the star card. So it's a pretty detailed book. Looks like it's going to go into quite a bit of detail, actually. And we've got kind of an outline of the system in itself, what the minor arcana numbers mean. Looks like there was a misprint on this particular book here, but it doesn't look like it's missing any actual information there. I'm gonna have to contact the printer there and see about a possible replacement. Anyway, the book is thick, it's detailed, it doesn't look like it skips on anything based on the font size. There's pictures of the cards. It's rather detailed, and this is one of two books that the authors wrote for this particular system. Sorry about that, I didn't mean to hit the camera. But that's one of two books that the authors wrote in regards to this particular system of tarot with the continental esoteric system there. Super dope deck. It's going to be its entirely own mission You know, it's something separate from, I think, everything else in the collection, something entirely unique. I do know that there are other systems out there that operate on the Continental Esoteric system. I believe like the Nap Hall deck. I have the Ibis Tarot, which is an Egyptian themed deck that runs on the Continental Esoteric system. Um, and I am definitely on the hunt for more decks that operate on the Continental Esoteric system as well. I like decks that run on systems that are outside of the big three, and this one seems to be pretty in depth. There's a lot of information contained in these cards, a lot of symbology in these cards. I'm definitely excited to work with this deck. I've seen a lot of stuff on this deck, and it is one that I have definitely been waiting to work with. Yeah, it's going to be a fun walkthrough to do too. All right, next up we have the Elemental Tarot. This is the first edition. This is the one that came in the box set, like the gray box with the funny black plastic insert. It came with the red book that's just about the same size, which I keep up here on the shelf. I will show you guys my shelves actually. I just recently redid everything. I wish I would have recorded something of what it looked like before I did the overhaul here and put the shelves up for all my decks, but I will show you guys the space that I am working in here on like a little altar space slash tarot reading space tour eventually. I'm still working on getting a couple of things finished here. But like I said, this is the first edition Elemental Tarot. Here is the card back. This card stock is actually pretty good. However, you can tell when you hold, like if you turn the card over and then hold it up to the light, the way that my camera is, you can't really see it, but if you hold it up to the light, you can clearly see the front of the card through the back of the card, right? If you hold it up to the light, so you can tell that there's no actual core in the card itself. But the cardstock is still really nice. It's not like super flimsy for something that you would think it would be without the core in the card like that, but it's not. It's actually a really nice cardstock for not having any sort of core. This is another one of those very deep decks wherein you have the card title in the majors here. A lot of them have been renamed. The magician is the trickster. The high priestess is the virgin. The pope, I think that's a sort of common name for the Hierophant. Lovers is now choice. 7 is victory. Strength is at 8. So the cards are like renamed. There's elemental and letter associations to all of the cards here. I see a bunch of them are A's. There is a sort of different symbological references there on the Fool, and then again there's a symbol and a letter on the cards, as well as a quote on either side. I think the way that they read, they might read together. They might be a, one upright, one reverse. I'll have to look into that. Pretty interesting artwork here, though. Definitely very 80s. Like I said, this is a first edition in like the box set. So I believe this one came out in 1988. And if you notice, the minors are all associated to the element, of course. So all of the cup cards are titled something that has to do with water. The courts are of water. Wands, rather than wands, are all something to do with fire or light somehow, and then it is fire in the courts there. Same thing, air, breath, storm, cloud, and then air. In the quartz, same thing with earth, plant, clay, harvest, avalanche, forest, desert, and then earth in the court cards there. This is a really cool deck. I really like this one. Again, a deck that sort of operates on its own system. Um, you know, I am definitely excited to read the book and work with this deck. Let's see here. And then the final two decks that I have here are actually historic recreations. The first one that I'm going to show you guys is the Tarochi Peren from 1865. This is the Giordano, I know I butchered that, Bertelli deck. It does not have the original bag that it came with, but it does have the original title card, which you can clearly see has been hand numbered and signed by Giordano Berti. Giordano Berti. I knew I butchered that the first time I said it. But yeah, it's number 168 out of 600. It's got his signature right there. Multiple languages on the card there. Saying that it was reproduced in 2016, limited to 600 number copies, and is a faithful reproduction of the Tarot Peren, or the Tarochi Peren there. It does come with a little book. The cover on the book sort of matches the box a little bit there. It is black and white imagery somewhere in some parts, and then you have color imagery of the cards there, and color advertisements in the back. So the box is pretty sturdy, actually. I like it. It's a little too big for the deck, but I also understand that there was a bag that originally came with it that probably helped take up some of the room in there. This deck is super cool. I like the card stock. I'm not sure if this man's decks are handmade, but they almost have that handmade quality to them. Here's the backs. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the blue portion of the sort of checkerboard square pattern here on the back is almost, I don't know if it's just the way the light hits it for me from time to time, or if he printed it with an almost matte sort of metallic printing, or if it's just the way that it was printed. But yeah, it almost looks like there's a sort of metallic tint or hint over the blue there. Pretty cool. I like the backs either way. But like I said, the cardstock is nice. I really like it. The artwork in the majors and in the court cards actually sort of reminds me of Sabia deck, the Everyday Oracle, the old Italian Oracle there. It kind of reminds me of that, like the artwork there. And then here's some of the wands, and then like here's the quartz there, right? Some of the cups, very classic Marseille, and the pips there, and then like the chords. The artwork is just almost reminiscent of Sabia, which makes sense because they would have been around the same era. They are both Italian decks. I like the way that the swords are laid out there. Yeah, I just really overall like these cards. I like how they kind of did the title card on the 1 of Pentacles instead of the 2. And they kind of made the ribbon here so, more elegant. You know what I mean? Kind of put clasps on it and gave it something to latch on to there. I like the way that they did that. And then again, the quartz And these really remind me of a Sabia deck. That's really what made me want this deck in the first place. Because I kind of like that old, almost playing card Oracle style art. Um, so yeah, I really like this deck. It'll be fun to work with. Again, once I get into working with Marseilles, I have a weird attraction to like old decks. I've got a lot of like vintage and out of print decks in my collection, and I'm just attracted to these old cards and reproductions of like the really old cards, especially if the reproduction is done well. Um, I really like these kind of cards here. And like I said, I have been developing sort of a unrequited love affair with the Marseille decks here. So I have all of a sudden, out of nowhere, quite a few reproduction decks. You guys have probably already seen the Gasman by now. I do also have the Tarocchi Fin della Torre, which is another Italian reproduction deck. I have the first edition of that one in the wooden box, also to come up in a walkthrough soon. But last but not least, the final deck here that was included with this particular mini haul of 5 decks, all included in one package, is the Il Menegillo. This is the Tarocco Piemontese. There's the title on the bottom of the card. There's the lid. Here's the card back. This one has the little intro card, the little mini card that lets you know that it's handmade. It is numbered 286 of 400. And then here are the cards. The card back is definitely that same handmade quality, very stiff, thick cards, but I imagine they probably wouldn't be too hard to shuffle either at the same time. They are, stiff cards, but they are seemingly flexible enough to shuffle. I like the squared edges there. The edges are actually all pretty sharp, like not sharp, but they are definitely a well cornered deck. The way that it was printed also is very interesting to me. This is one of those styles of printing that I kind of wanted to have a representation of in my collection of, historic reproductions of decks. I really like the artwork in this one. Like sometimes the head seems too big for the body. Sometimes, even though they're not, just the way that it's printed and the perspective of the card makes you feel like they might be missing an arm somewhere or something. It's just a really interesting deck. I like the way that it's fun. I like the old artwork. The facial expressions all kind of crack me up. Every one of the facial expressions on here is also really clear. So you can kind of get a clear visual of what's going on each of those people's minds in the card there. It's a really well done deck, actually. It's my first Il Menegillo, and it probably won't be my last. I think I have one more in my eyesight, at least for right now. I'm trying to slow down on the number of decks that I purchase, because as you see, 5 of them all in one package. And that's not the first time I bought that many decks all at once from this same lady. I've probably bought like 30 decks from her, honestly, over the course of time. And then, like I said with that one, that was last but not least. And then finally here, this was a gift. I am allowed to say that this was a gift. So she did include these for me. This is a vintage German set of playing cards where you've got the red and the blue back, and just normal playing cards there. But the cool part about these is the way that the courts are laid out. Now there's 3 jokers in this deck, actually. And I have them spaced out in between the suits. But if you look, the B is German for boy, I believe. Somebody gave me the translations, I believe, on Hermit's Cave, but I had forgotten them, and I didn't think to grab them before I remembered to add this into the video. But you have king, dame, and then I forget what the word was for boy, which is basically your page. And then here you have your first joker, and then, you know, the artwork in the courts is pretty interesting there. And then, like I said, I spaced out the jokers in between the suits. So there's number 2. The courts are all pretty cool. 3. And the blue deck is the red deck rather, is the same exact deck, just with the red backs. So that was a pretty cool gift to get. You know, I like playing cards. I kind of just like cards in general, so these will be fun to play with. Definitely appreciated that she threw something in with the package there. And that is what I am dubbing the official mini haul walkthrough right there. And again, I will do full walkthroughs of all of these decks, with the exception of these small playing cards here that I included at the end. But I will, like I said, do full walkthroughs of each of these decks. If I haven't already posted it, the Flournoy doll is also going to go into a comparison video where I walk through the differences between Type 1 and Type 2 Tarot de Marseille. So definitely got that one coming up as well. I'm working out a couple of different comparison video ideas. Once I get a general overall grasp of exactly what it is that I am trying to do with this tarot channel here, because I did kind of just jump right into it, right? Like, I got a bunch of decks, and one day I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna do it. And I recorded the tarot collection walkthrough series, wherein in 8 different videos I walked through my tarot collection. I tried not to make the videos too long, that way we didn't have to worry about that. But you know, so once I get a pretty good grip on what I am doing with the content here, I will be doing a channel intro video where I kind of walk through all of that. So that will be coming up soon as well. Also, I am sort of recording a lot of these videos before I post them. So some of these videos might not come out for, you know, a couple of weeks after I post them. So if I say something that popped up already in another video, that could be why. One might have just got posted earlier than expected for whatever reason. You know, so just keep that in mind. And then if I ever get enough people on the channel that are interested, I might do live videos at some point too, where I can give you guys live updates of exactly what's going on real time. But for the most part, real time is going to be ahead of the videos. I think I'm going to be scheduling videos. That's going to make it the easiest for me. But I do again appreciate you guys for coming by. I appreciate you for hanging out. Please do hit the subscribe button there under the video if you like the content and you want to see more. If you have any other ideas for things that you would like to see on the channel, please do comment them below. You know, I do appreciate the constructive input there, even constructive criticism, things that I could do better to make the experience better for you guys. Please do let me know in the comments. Again, like I said, I appreciate you for coming, and hopefully I will see you on the next one. Thank you.